The transport ship docked at Crimson Watch Station with a soft hiss, and Danny Cooper stepped into the main hall carrying a single worn backpack. Around him, dozens of alien beings moved through the crowded space. Some had scales that shimmered like metal. Others had fur and colors he had never seen before. A few floated without touching the ground at all. Danny smiled at everyone he passed, even though most of them stared at him like he was lost. The Galactic Hunting Academy occupied the entire northern wing of the station. For 300 years, it had trained the best hunters in known space. They learned to track and capture the dangerous creatures that lived in the void between stars. It was an honor just to be accepted. Danny was the first human to ever receive that honor. He found the orientation hall and took a seat near the back. The room filled quickly with trainees from at least 20 different species. Danny recognized a few from his studies. The tall ones with 4 arms were Krell. The floating jellyfish-like beings were Whistlers. The massive bear creatures were Throck. "Is that a human?" a voice hissed nearby. Danny turned and saw a Valorian female staring at him. She stood about 6 feet tall with deep green scales covering her body. Her yellow eyes had vertical pupils that narrowed as she looked him over. The patch on her uniform read, "Kira Seth." "Yes, I am," Danny said cheerfully. "I'm Danny Cooper. Nice to meet you." Kira Seth's mouth opened slightly, showing rows of sharp teeth. It was not a smile. Several other trainees nearby turned to look. "A human," she said again, louder this time. "Or they let a human into the academy?" "I passed the entrance exams," Danny explained. "Same as everyone else here, I guess." A Krell trainee with dark blue skin leaned over. "Humans are prey species. Everyone knows this. What are you doing at a hunting academy?" "Learning to hunt," Danny said simply. "That is why we are all here, right?" Kira Seth made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You have soft skin, small teeth, weak eyes, no claws, no venom, no natural weapons at all. How does your kind even survive?" "We do okay," Danny said. His smile never wavered. "We have been around for a while." "Only because you hide in cities and use machines," Kira Seth said. She stood up, looking down at Danny. "Real hunters do not need machines to track prey. We use our senses, our strength, our speed, on things your species does not have." Other trainees were watching now. Some looked curious. Others seemed to agree with Kira Seth. "I am looking forward to learning from everyone here," Danny said. He pulled out a small notebook and a pen. "I brought this to take notes. I know I have a lot to learn." Kira Seth stared at the notebook. "What is that? Paper? You write on paper?" She turned to the others. "The human brings paper to a galactic hunting academy." Several aliens laughed. A Throck in the front row shook his massive head. The door at the front of the hall opened. Every trainee immediately went silent and stood up straight. Danny stood too, though he was not sure why until he saw the instructor enter. The being that walked to the front was a Krell, but larger than any Danny had seen. He had 4 muscular arms and skin covered in scars. His eyes swept across the room like he was counting every trainee and judging their worth in a single glance. The name on his uniform said Jacrim. "Sit," the instructor said. His voice was deep and calm. Everyone sat. "I am Elite Hunter Jacrim," he continued. "I have survived 43 void hunts. I have tracked serpents in the dark between stars. I have faced devourers and lived. I will teach you to do the same, or you will die trying." No one laughed. No one whispered. "The creatures we hunt are not like animals on your homeworlds," Jacrim said. "They do not follow normal rules of biology. They survive in vacuum. They feed on energy itself. They are older than most of your civilizations. Hunting them requires skill, intelligence, and respect." He began walking between the rows of seats. "You come from many worlds, many species. You think your natural abilities make you superior. Perhaps they do. Perhaps they make you arrogant instead." Jacrim stopped next to Kira Seth. She sat up even straighter. "Valorians are excellent hunters," he said. "Fast reflexes, strong senses, proud warriors. But I have seen Valorians die because they trusted their pride more than their training." He moved on, stopping near the Throck Trainee. Throck are powerful, nearly unstoppable in direct combat, but strength means nothing against a creature that can phase through solid matter. Danny watched the instructor move around the room. Jacqueline stopped in front of him. "And humans," the elite hunter said quietly. "Humans are new to the galactic community, physically weak by most standards. But they survived on a death world for millions of years. They climbed to the top of their food chain with no natural weapons. That is worth considering." Kira Seth made a small sound of disagreement, but said nothing. Jacqueline returned to the front. "Your first lesson begins tomorrow at dawn cycle. You will learn basic tracking in the simulation chambers. You will work in teams. You will learn that hunting is not about being the strongest or the fastest. It is about understanding your prey better than it understands itself." He pressed a button and a hologram appeared above his head. It showed a massive snake-like creature covered in dark scales that seemed to absorb light. "This is a juvenile void serpent," Jacqueline said. "In 1 week, you will track one in a controlled environment. Teams that succeed will continue to advance training. Teams that fail will return home." The hologram rotated slowly. The creature had no eyes that Danny could see, but it had a mouth full of teeth as long as his arm. "Dismissed," Jacqueline said. "Study the creature, learn everything you can, and remember that it will be trying to hunt you while you hunt it." The trainees filed out of the hall. Danny stood and gathered his backpack. Kira Seth walked past him, then paused. "Try not to die too quickly, human," she said. "I want to see how long you last." Danny just smiled. "I will do my best. Good luck to you too." She walked away, shaking her head. Danny heard her tell another trainee that humans were too stupid to know when they were outmatched. He pulled out his notebook and began drawing the void serpent from memory. He had a lot to learn, but that had never stopped him before. The training chamber opened at dawn cycle. Danny stood with the other trainees in front of a massive transparent wall. Beyond it stretched an artificial environment filled with rocks, metal debris, and strange purple mist that drifted through the air. Jacqueline stood before them, holding a small device that projected images in the air. "Today you learn to track. Every creature leaves signs. Broken branches on a forest world. Disturbed sand in a desert. In space, the signs are different, but they exist." He pointed at the purple mist beyond the wall. "That is void residue. When certain creatures pass through an area, they leave traces like this. Your job is to follow the trail and identify what made it." The trainees were divided into groups of 3. Yet Danny found himself paired with a whistler named Pim and a small reptilian creature called a Skrit who refused to give his name. Both of them looked unhappy about the arrangement. Kira Seth stood with 2 other Valorians, all of them checking their scanning equipment. The devices hummed softly and displayed information on small screens. Most teams had similar tools. "Equipment check," Jacqueline announced. "Show me what you brought." Kira Seth held up her scanner proudly. "Military-grade tracker. Can detect thermal signatures through solid rock. Range of 5 kilometers." Other trainees displayed plasma nets, graviton traps, stun weapons, and various detection devices. The equipment looked expensive and complex. Jacqueline walked to Danny's group. "And you?" Danny opened his backpack. He pulled out a coil of rope, several metal hooks that looked handmade, strips of cloth, and a dozen wooden stakes carved to sharp points. The training chamber went completely silent. Then Kira Seth started laughing. The sound echoed off the walls. Within seconds, half the trainees were laughing with her. "Is this a joke?" a Throck named Brutus called out. "Did the human bring camping supplies?" "Those are toys," Kira Seth said, walking closer. "What are you going to do, human? Tie the void serpent up with rope?" Danny looked at his equipment, then at her scanner. "I was hoping to try human methods. These tools have worked for my people for thousands of years." "Your people hunted small animals on one planet," Kira Seth said. "We hunt creatures that cross the galaxy. You need real equipment, not sticks and string." Jacqueline held up one hand. Now the laughter stopped immediately. He picked up one of Danny's wooden stakes and examined it. The wood had been carved smooth and the point was very sharp. "Interesting," the elite hunter said. "You made these yourself?" "Yes, sir," Danny said. I carved them on the transport ship. I thought they might be useful. They will not be, Kiraseth muttered. Jacqueline set the stake down carefully. I want to see what the human does with these tools. He may use them. Kiraseth's eyes widened. But instructor, he will fail. He might even get hurt. Then he will learn, Jacqueline said. Just as you will learn. Begin. The transparent wall slid open. Teams rushed into the training chamber, their scanners already sweeping the area. Kiraseth's team moved quickly to the left, following readings on their devices. Danny's team stood at the entrance. Ipim the Whistler floated impatiently. Well, what is your plan, human? Danny studied the chamber carefully. He watched how the purple mist moved. Some areas had more mist than others. The mist near the walls was thin, but in the center of the chamber it was thick. The creature went that way, Danny said, pointing toward the thick mist. How do you know? The Skrit asked. You have no scanner. The mist is thicker where the creature passed recently, Danny explained. Like smoke from a fire. It has not had time to spread out yet. Pim made a bubbling sound. That is just guessing. Maybe, Danny said, but it costs nothing to check. They moved into the chamber. Around them, other teams ran between rocks and metal debris, following their scanners. Kiraseth's team was already far ahead, moving with confidence. Danny walked slowly, and he stopped every few meters to look at the ground, the rocks, the way the mist moved. His teammates grew more and more frustrated. This is taking too long, Pim said. The other teams will finish before we even find the trail. Danny knelt beside a large rock. The surface had scrape marks on it. He ran his finger along the marks. They were fresh, with small pieces of rock still crumbling away. Something large rubbed against this, he said. Recently. Or maybe the rock was damaged when they built this chamber, the Skrit said. Danny pointed at the direction of the scrapes. If it was old damage, dust would have settled in these grooves. But look, they are clean. This happened today. He pulled out his notebook and drew a quick sketch of the marks. Then he moved to the next rock and found similar scratches. Far across the chamber, a loud beeping sound echoed. Kiraseth's team was celebrating. Her voice carried clearly. We found it! The scanner shows a massive heat signature behind that wall. Jacqueline's voice came through speakers built into the chamber. Correct. The simulated void serpent den is located at those coordinates. Well done. Kiraseth looked back across the chamber at Danny and waved her scanner triumphantly. Her teammates were already setting up their equipment for the next phase of training. Danny smiled and waved back. Then he returned to studying the scratch marks. Why are you still looking? Pim asked. They already won. I am not trying to win, Danny said. I am trying to learn. These marks tell a story about how the creature moves. See how deep they are at the top? That means it is heavy. But the scratches are thin. So it does not have thick scales. It rubs against rocks, which might mean it sheds its skin, or it has poor vision. The Skrit moved closer, studying the marks. I did not notice that. Days passed. The training continued. Each day brought new exercises. Tracking through artificial asteroid fields. Learning to read energy signatures. Studying creature behavior patterns. And each day, Kiraseth found new reasons to mock Danny. When they practiced setting traps, she laughed at his rope snares compared to her plasma nets. When they studied creature anatomy, she made jokes about humans needing to study because they had no hunting instincts. When they ran speed drills, she lapped him twice and made sure everyone saw. Other trainees joined in. It became a daily entertainment to watch the human struggle with tasks that came naturally to species born to hunt. Danny took notes through all of it. He asked questions that others thought were stupid. He practiced with his simple tools while others mastered advanced technology. He never complained and he never stopped smiling. Jacqueline watched everything. He said nothing. Finally, after 7 days of training, the elite hunter gathered all the trainees in the main hall. Tomorrow you face the real test, he said. A juvenile void serpent has been placed in Containment Sector 7. It is young, but it is still deadly. You will enter in teams. You will track it. You will contain it using non-lethal methods. If you succeed, you continue your training. If you fail, you go home. He paused and his eyes swept across every face. This is not a simulation. The creature is real. The danger is real. If you make mistakes, you will be injured or killed. We will monitor you, but we may not be able to save you in time. Do you understand? Every trainee answered together. Yes, Elite Hunter. Good. Rest tonight. Tomorrow we hunt. Danny sat in his small room that evening, checking his equipment one more time. The rope was strong, the hooks were solid, the stakes were sharp, everything was ready. Through his wall, he could hear Kira Seth and her teammates laughing about something. He heard his name mentioned, followed by more laughter. He smiled to himself and went to sleep. Tomorrow would be interesting. Containment Sector 7 was massive. Danny stood with the other trainees at the entrance, staring into a space the size of a small moon. Asteroids floated inside, or held in place by gravity fields. Between them drifted clouds of gas and chunks of metal from old ships. Somewhere in that darkness lived a void serpent. Jacqueline stood on a platform above them, surrounded by monitors that showed different views of the sector. 3 other elite hunters stood with him, watching carefully. The creature was released 6 hours ago, Jacqueline announced. It is hungry and it is young, which makes it aggressive. Your scanners can track it, but remember that it can also sense your technology. Teams will enter at 5-minute intervals. You have 2 hours to locate and contain the serpent. If you fail, we will extract you and terminate the creature. Kira Seth's team went first. She checked her scanner one last time and nodded to her teammates. They entered the sector with confidence, their equipment humming softly. Danny watched them disappear into the darkness between asteroids. On the monitors above, he could see their heat signatures moving deeper into the sector. 4 more teams entered. Then it was Danny's turn. Pym floated beside him nervously. The Skrit checked a small blade he carried. Danny adjusted his backpack and stepped through the entrance. The temperature dropped immediately. Even with the artificial atmosphere, space was cold here. Danny's breath made small clouds in front of his face. "Which way?" Pym asked. Danny closed his eyes and listened. In the distance, he could hear faint sounds. Metal scraping against metal. The hiss of gas escaping from somewhere. He opened his eyes and pointed left. "Let us try that direction." They moved slowly between asteroids. The Skrit complained that they should move faster. Pym kept asking if Danny was sure he knew where he was going. Danny did not answer. He was watching everything. The rocks here had scratch marks like the ones in the training chamber, but these were deeper, longer. Whatever made them was bigger than the training simulation suggested. On a piece of floating metal, Danny found something else. A clear liquid that glowed faintly in the darkness. He touched it carefully and sniffed his finger. "What is that?" the Skrit asked. "I think it is from the serpent," Danny said. "Like saliva, maybe. Still wet, so the creature was here recently." Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the sector. Red lights flashed on the asteroids. Chakram's voice echoed from speakers everywhere. "All teams, the void serpent is larger than expected. It grew faster than our projections. Exercise extreme caution." Through the darkness, Danny heard screams. On a distant asteroid, he saw plasma fire lighting up the sky. A team was fighting something. "We should go back," Pym said, his voice shaking. Before Danny could answer, more alarms sounded. These were louder, more urgent. "Containment breach," Jacqueline announced. His voice was calm but firm. "The creature has damaged Sector 7 barriers. All teams begin evacuation immediately. This is not a drill." Danny turned to head back toward the entrance. Then he heard Kira Seth's voice screaming through the communication channel. "Our equipment is down. The serpent destroyed our plasma net. We are trapped in Crater Delta 4. Someone help us." On the monitors visible on nearby asteroids, Danny could see what was happening. Kira Seth and her 2 teammates were pinned in a deep crater. Their advanced equipment sparked and smoked, completely useless. Above them, a massive shape circled in the darkness. The void serpent was 3 times larger than the simulations showed. Its body was as thick as a transport ship and covered in black scales that seemed to drink the light around it. It had no eyes, but its head turned toward every sound. every movement. Evacuation teams moving to extract trapped hunters, Jacqueline said. All other trainees exit immediately. Danny watched Kira Seth on the monitor. She was trying to restart her scanner, her hands shaking. Her teammates huddled against the crater wall. The serpent moved closer. "Come on," the Skrit hissed, pulling at Danny's arm. "We have to go now." Danny looked at his backpack, then at the monitor, or then at the route to the crater. It was not far, maybe 200 meters across floating asteroids. "You two go," Danny said. "I am going to help them." "Are you insane?" Pym bubbled frantically. "You have rope and sticks. What can you possibly do?" "I do not know yet," Danny admitted, "but I have to try." He moved before they could stop him, jumping from asteroid to asteroid. Behind him, he heard Pym and the Skrit arguing about whether to follow or flee. Danny reached a large rock near the crater and looked down. The serpent was massive up close. Its mouth opened and closed, tasting the air. Every few seconds it moved closer to where Kira Seth's team was hiding. He noticed something important. Every time someone powered up a device, the serpent's head snapped toward it immediately. When Kira Seth tried her scanner, the creature lunged at the sound. When her teammate activated a communication device, the serpent struck at that spot. The creature was hunting using electromagnetic signals. It sensed technology. Danny pressed his communication button. "Elite Hunter Jacqueline, can you hear me?" A pause. Then Jacqueline's voice, surprised. "Danny Cooper, evacuate immediately." "Sir, the serpent is attracted to electromagnetic signals. Every time someone uses technology, it attacks. That is why the advanced teams are having trouble." Another pause. Danny could hear voices arguing in the background. "We are aware," Jacqueline finally said. "Evacuation teams are having difficulty getting close. The creature attacks their ships. We are considering termination options." "Let me try to reach them first," Danny said. "I have no electronic equipment. Maybe it will not sense me." "Absolutely not. You are a trainee, not a rescue specialist." In the crater below, the serpent moved even closer. Kira Seth saw it coming and screamed. She tried to run, but her teammate grabbed her. Running would only draw the creature's attention faster. "Sir, please," Danny said. "I am already here. Give me 5 minutes." The communication channel went silent. Danny counted to 10. Then Jacqueline spoke again. "5 minutes, Danny Cooper. But if that creature moves toward you, I am pulling you out myself." Danny took off his communication device and set it on the asteroid. He pulled out his rope and hooks. Everything he had was completely mechanical. No batteries, no circuits, no signals. He looked down at Kira Seth. She was staring at her broken scanner like it had betrayed her, or her teammates looked terrified. The serpent opened its mouth wide. Rows of teeth gleamed in the faint light. Danny took a deep breath and began climbing down into the crater. On the platform high above, every elite hunter watched their monitors in complete silence. Jacqueline's forearms were tense, ready to activate emergency extraction the moment something went wrong. "That human is either very brave or very stupid," one elite hunter muttered. Jacqueline watched Danny move slowly down the crater wall, making almost no sound. "Perhaps he is both," Jacqueline said quietly. "Or perhaps he is something else entirely." Danny moved down the crater wall one careful step at a time. The rope he carried made no sound. The metal hooks clinked softly once and he froze, but the void serpent did not react. It was focused on the electromagnetic signals coming from Kira Seth's broken equipment. The serpent's massive head swayed back and forth above the 3 trapped Valorians. Its mouth opened slightly, tasting the air for energy signatures. Every spark from their damaged scanner drew its attention like a beacon. Danny reached the crater floor and pressed himself against the rock wall. He was now only 30 meters from Kira Seth's team. The serpent was between them, its body coiled and ready to strike. He watched the creature carefully. Every 20 seconds, it turned its head in a slow pattern. Left, center, right, then back again. It was searching, but it could not find its prey precisely because their equipment was dying. The signals were getting weaker. During one of the creature's turns, Danny moved. He crossed 10 meters of open ground in complete silence, then stopped behind a boulder. The serpent's head swung back but passed right over him. Without electronic signals, he was invisible to it. Kira Seth saw him. Her yellow eyes went wide with shock. She started to say something, but Danny held one finger to his lips. Silence was survival. He pointed at her scanner. Then he made a cutting motion across his throat. "Turn it off! Turn everything off!" She shook her head frantically and pointed at the equipment. They needed it. How could they escape without their technology? Danny pointed at himself, then at her, then at the way out. "Trust me." Another spark flew from the damaged scanner. The void serpent struck like lightning, its massive jaws slamming into the rock where Kira Seth had been standing 1 second earlier. She rolled away, saw her screaming. The scream was a mistake. The serpent's head snapped toward the sound. It opened its mouth wide, preparing to strike again. Danny grabbed a rock and threw it hard at a piece of metal debris on the other side of the crater. The rock hit with a loud clang. The serpent's head whipped around toward the new sound, confused. In that moment, Danny ran. He reached Kira Seth and her two teammates in seconds. Up close, he could see they were shaking with fear. "Power down everything," Danny whispered urgently. "Right now. Every device." "We will die without our equipment," one of Kira Seth's teammates hissed back. "You will die with it," Danny said. "The creature hunts electrical signals. No power, no signal, no target." Kira Seth stared at him. Her hand hovered over her scanner's power button. Everything she had learned told her that technology kept hunters alive. Turning it off felt like cutting her own lifeline. The serpent moved closer. She could smell its breath now, hot and rank. She pressed the button. The scanner went dark. Her teammates did the same with their equipment. Suddenly, the crater fell silent except for breathing and the distant sound of the serpent moving. The creature's head swept back and forth, searching. It passed directly over the group but did not strike. Without the electromagnetic signals, they had vanished from its senses. Danny slowly pulled the rope from his backpack. He tied one end to a metal hook and tested the knot. Strong. Then he looked up at the crater wall. It was steep, but there were enough rocks and cracks to climb. He handed the rope to Kira Seth. "When I signal, you climb. Me one at a time, slowly, no talking, no equipment. The serpent senses movement, but only if you are fast or loud." "This is insane," she whispered. "Do you have a better idea?" She did not answer. Danny drove one of his wooden stakes into a crack in the rock. He used it as an anchor point and threw the hook up toward the crater rim. It caught on a ledge. He pulled the rope tight and tied it off. The serpent was circling now, frustrated that its prey had disappeared. Its tail swept across the crater floor, crushing rocks. When it passed close to the group, everyone held their breath. Danny waited until the creature's head was pointed away. Then he tapped Kira Seth's shoulder and pointed up. She grabbed the rope and started climbing. Slowly, one hand at a time. Her claws found holds in the rock. The rope helped her balance. The serpent stopped moving. Its head tilted like it was listening. Kira Seth froze halfway up the wall. Danny could see her muscles locked in place, not even breathing. Below her, the serpent's head swayed back and forth, searching. 20 seconds passed. 30. The serpent moved away, toward the other side of the crater where sparks still occasionally flew from abandoned equipment. Kira Seth continued climbing. She reached the top and pulled herself over the edge. Safe. Danny signaled to the next Valorian, a male with dark green scales who looked like he might pass out from fear. Danny helped him grab the rope and watched him climb. This one was not as careful. His foot slipped once and sent a small rock tumbling down. The sound was tiny, but in the quiet crater, it echoed. The void serpent's head snapped toward them. Danny grabbed another rock and threw it far to the left. It clattered against metal. The serpent lunged at the sound, giving the climber time to scramble over the crater edge. One more to go. The third Valorian was a female who had not moved since her equipment died. She just stared at nothing, frozen with terror. "You can do this," Danny whispered to her, "just like your friends, slow and quiet." "I cannot," she breathed. "I cannot move." The serpent was coming back, searching the area where it had heard sounds. In another minute, it would be right on top of them. Danny made a quick decision. He pulled out a long strip of cloth and tied it around the Valorian's waist, then connected it to his own belt. If she could not climb alone, he would help her. "Hold the rope," he told her firmly. "I will be right beside you. We climb together." She grabbed the rope with shaking hands. Danny started climbing and she moved with him, matching his pace. Step by step, they went up the crater wall together. The serpent's head appeared below them, searching. Its mouth opened wide enough to swallow them both. Danny did not look down. He just kept climbing. Slow, steady, silent. They were 5 meters from the top when the serpent sensed something. Maybe heat, maybe vibration in the rock. Its head rose up following them. "Faster," Danny whispered. They scrambled up the last few meters. Hands reached down from above and pulled the Valorian woman over the edge. Danny hauled himself up just as the serpent's jaws snapped closed where he had been hanging. They collapsed on the asteroid above the crater, gasping for air. Kira Seth stared at Danny. Her teammates stared at him. Neither spoke. Through the communication channels, Jacquem's voice announced, "All trapped teams extracted. Well done. Evacuation continuing." But on the command platform, the elite hunters were not watching the evacuation. They were watching their monitors, looking at 3 more teams trapped in different locations, their technology useless against the Void Serpent. And they were watching Danny Cooper, who was already studying his rope, preparing to do it all again. Danny looked across the sector at the monitors mounted on nearby asteroids. 2 more teams were trapped. One group of Krell hunters pinned behind a collapsed ship hull. Another team of mixed species cornered on a small asteroid with nowhere to run. The Void Serpent moved between them. He'd drawn to their equipment signals like a predator circling wounded prey. Kira Seth grabbed Danny's arm. "You cannot go back in there. You got lucky with us. That thing almost killed you." "They need help," Danny said simply. He was already checking his rope for damage. "The elite hunters will handle it," she insisted. On the command platform, Jacquem was arguing with the other elite hunters. Their voices carried through the speakers. "We cannot get close with our ships. Every time we approach, the serpent attacks the engines. We need to terminate the creature now before someone dies." "Wait," Jacquem said. "The human is moving again." Danny was already jumping between asteroids, heading toward the trapped Krell team. Behind him, Pym and the Skrit caught up, both breathing hard. "You are completely insane," the Skrit said. But we are coming with you." "You do not have to," Danny said. "Yes, we do," Pym bubbled. "Someone needs to make sure you survive this stupid plan." They reached a position above where the Krell team was hiding. 3 massive hunters crouched behind twisted metal, their advanced weapons useless. The serpent circled their position, attracted to the energy signatures from their equipment. Danny studied the situation. The Krell were too heavy for his rope to lift. He needed a different approach. He watched how the serpent moved. It was hunting in a pattern now, going back and forth between the groups with active technology. When it was focused on the distant team, it ignored everything else. "We need to lead it away," Danny said. "Create a distraction." "With what?" the Skrit asked. "We have no technology." Danny thought for a moment. Then he remembered something from his studies. Void serpents fed on energy. They were attracted to electromagnetic signals because those signals meant food. He looked at all the broken equipment scattered across the sector. Pieces of damaged scanners. Broken weapons. Each one still held a small power cell. "Help me gather those," Danny said, pointing at the debris. They collected 6 power cells from abandoned equipment. Danny tied them together with his rope, creating a bundle. Then he attached a metal hook to make it heavy enough to throw far. "When the serpent is facing away, I throw this," Danny explained. "The power cells will give off signals. The creature will chase them. That gives the Krell time to move." "And then what?" Pym asked. "Then we do it again for the next team." It was a simple plan, too simple. But it was all they had. Danny waited until the serpent turned toward the far team. Then he threw the bundle of power cells as hard as he could. It sailed through the low gravity and landed on an asteroid 300 meters away. The power cells activated on impact. Their signals lit up like a bright star to the serpent's senses. The creature's head snapped toward the new source. It abandoned the Krell position immediately and lunged toward the power cells, moving with terrifying speed. "Go now," Danny said into his communication device, which he had retrieved. "Krell team, move to evacuation point Delta. The serpent is distracted." The three Krell did not hesitate. They ran, their heavy footsteps shaking the asteroids as they passed. The void serpent reached the power cells and devoured them in one bite. Then it paused. "I'm searching for more energy." Danny was already moving toward the last trapped team. They were on a small asteroid with no cover. A Whistler, a Throck, and another Valorian pressed together, watching the serpent hunt. "Same plan?" the Skrid asked. "Same plan," Danny confirmed. But they had no more power cells to gather. Danny looked at his equipment. All mechanical. Nothing electronic, except his communication device. He held it up. The small device was worth more than everything else he owned. It was his only way to call for help if something went wrong. "You need that," Pym said quietly. "They need to live," Danny replied. He tied the device to a metal hook and waited for the right moment. The serpent was moving back toward the trapped team, sensing their equipment. Danny threw the communication device in the opposite direction. It spun through space, transmitting signals the entire way. The void serpent turned so fast it seemed to teleport. It shot after the device like an arrow, jaws wide open. "Run!" Danny shouted to the trapped team. They ran. The Throck actually picked up the smaller Whistler and carried him, moving faster than should have been possible. The serpent caught the communication device and crushed it. Silence fell across the sector. No more electronic signals except for the distant evacuation ships. The creature's head swept back and forth, confused. All the prey had vanished. "All teams extracted," Jacquem's voice boomed across the sector. "Evacuation complete, initiating containment protocols." Heavy barriers slammed down across Sector 7, dividing it into smaller sections. The void serpent found itself trapped in one area, away from everyone else. Danny sat on an asteroid, breathing hard. His rope was frayed, his hooks were bent, his stakes were scattered across the sector. His communication device was destroyed, but everyone was alive. The evacuation ships brought all the trainees back to the main station. In the landing bay, teams gathered in small groups, talking about what happened. Many looked shaken. Some had minor injuries. All of them kept glancing at Danny. Kira Seth walked across the bay. Her teammates followed her. She stopped in front of Danny and for a long moment said nothing. Then she bowed her head. It was a Valorian sign of deep respect. "I was wrong about you," she said clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I mocked you because I thought strength came from claws and technology. But you saved my life with rope and wood and patience. You understood the serpent better than any of our scanners did. I am sorry." Her teammates bowed their heads too. Danny smiled. "You do not need to apologize. We all learned something today." "How did you know what to do?" Kira Seth asked. "When all our technology failed, how did you know the serpent hunted by electrical signals?" "I watched it," Danny said. "My people spent thousands of years hunting without technology. We learned to watch animals, to understand how they think, to see patterns in how they move. The serpent kept attacking technology, so I guessed it sensed electromagnetic energy. Sometimes the old ways work better than the new ways." Jacquem entered the landing bay. Every trainee stood straight immediately. The elite hunter walked directly to Danny. His forearms crossed over his chest. You disobeyed evacuation orders," he said sternly. "Yes, sir," Danny admitted. "I am sorry. I just thought I could help." "You saved 6 lives today using equipment that most hunters would call primitive. You demonstrated observation skills that I have not seen in decades of teaching. You showed us that we have become too dependent on technology and forgotten the fundamentals of hunting." Jacquem turned to address all the trainees. "Starting tomorrow, human observation protocols will be added to our curriculum. We will learn to hunt the way Danny Cooper's people hunted, by watching, by understanding, by thinking." He looked back at Danny. and you will teach the first class. The landing bay erupted in whispers. Kira Seth smiled, something Danny had never seen her do before. I would like to be in that class, she said. If you will teach me. I will teach anyone who wants to learn, Danny said, and I hope you will all teach me too. We can learn from each other. A Throck stepped forward, then a Krell, then a Whistler. Within minutes, 20 trainees surrounded Danny, all asking questions about human hunting methods. Jacqueline watched from the side. Another elite hunter joined him. That human accomplished more in one day than our technology has taught us in years, the other elite hunter said. Yes, Jacqueline agreed. He reminded us that the best hunters do not just overpower their prey. They understand it. They respect it. They learn from it. These are lessons we forgot. He looked at the group of trainees gathered around Danny, all of them listening carefully as the human explained how to read an animal's behavior. Sometimes, Jacqueline said quietly, why, the greatest strength is knowing that you do not need to be the strongest. You just need to be the wisest. In the center of the group, Danny pulled out his battered notebook and began drawing diagrams, showing the other trainees how to identify animal patterns. Kira Seth took notes beside him, her pride set aside, her mind open to learning. And across the Galactic Hunting Academy, the old ways and the new ways began to teach each other.